Tyson says he's got to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How does that work?
He can't, can he?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his... So if it goes any other way, you know...
You give me the headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's f***ing fixed, don't you?
Fight Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's...
Said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like, what about now?
Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him now?
What you gonna want to fight Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off.
Although Jake Paul's boxing career has been filled with daring confrontations and high-profile bouts, the YouTube-return-prize fighter may soon be facing Anthony Joshua, the most formidable opponent of his career. Even though Paul has amassed a sizable fan base and a few noteworthy victories, boxing experts are raising the alarm, cautioning that facing a two-time heavyweight champion like Joshua may be disastrous. Analysts think this fight is more than just dangerous because of Joshua's ability to knock out opponents and his exceptional experience competing against the best in the sport. Paul's boxing career could be cruelly ended by it.
Jake Paul has reached out to Anthony Joshua a few times. I've spoken to Nikisa, Jake's manager. It's never a fight we anticipated. It's never a fight we've targeted. But if you want Jake Paul to be the warm-up fight, and obviously financially it's a great opportunity for AJ, and you want to provide AJ and probably in turn Matchroom with the opportunity to extinguish Jake Paul from the world of boxing, then maybe AJ will oblige.
Eddie Hearn, the promoter for Matchroom Boxing, said in a recent interview that Jake Paul is the clear favorite to be Joshua's next opponent. He recognized that Paul's manager, Nikisa Badarian, was in active talks with Joshua's camp. Hearn underlined the match's enormous commercial appeal, but also pointing out how risky it is for Paul. As of right now, he thinks the fight will probably happen in early 2026.
Jake Paul's manager here last week, and he's open to the fight. Any developments on that?
Lots. I mean, this bizarre world that we live in, I think Jake Paul is absolutely the front runner to fight Anthony Joshua next. I'm here in New York for meetings about that fight. There's an open dialogue between myself and Nikisa, an MVP. I don't know what to tell you, Bridgie, other than it's mental. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you this is a 50-50 matchup. The whole thing is bizarre. I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua.
By disclosing that the two had been exchanging direct messages and that Joshua even contacted him to advance the notion. Paul further suggested that a showdown with Joshua is extremely likely to happen next year. Paul reiterated that discussion, stating that Joshua proposed to hold the fight towards the end of 2025, with a full fight anticipated in early 2026. Badarian reaffirmed that schedule and stated that talks are in progress for a historic matchup.
Now, I know you're after a world title, but if that doesn't materialize, I know the Tommy Fury name has been floated about. Is there any other fighters who may not be world champions that you're looking to face?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Joshua.
I think that's the main one that, we've talked a lot about is if it's not for the title, it's looking at Tommy, if he's reasonable, and then Anthony Joshua. And he's adamant that he wants to make that fight happen at the end of 2026.
Anything's possible. And so I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
Jake Paul has framed a possible bout with Anthony Joshua as a catalyst for boxing's revival. He thinks the matchup would bring in new life, draw in new supporters, and garner a lot of international attention. Paul claims that his general appeal can attract younger people who might not normally follow conventional boxing, comparing himself to a breath of fresh air in the sport. Paul believes that boxing needs to be revitalized, and that his presence may help by bridging the gap between the traditional audience of the sport and mainstream entertainment.
Nah, is this fight done? What are we talking about?
You know, it's going to happen. Like, seriously, it's going to happen. We were talking with Turkey tonight, negotiations live in person, which are always fun. But it's going to happen, and it's just such an exciting fight that crosses the whole globe. When you ask a lot of people about certain boxers, they don't know their names. And everywhere I've been going, I just talk about Anthony, and I don't have, you know, I'm global. So it's just such a good fight for the sport of boxing, and people will think I will die, but I will show them why I can rise against all odds and beat him.
Everyone's been wanting to see it happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like
fans and the boxing community have had strong feelings over Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua. Many people think Paul is overly ambitious and unrealistic in his desire to take on an experienced heavyweight like Joshua.
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying? The co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects in Jake. But in the middle there, I don't know if she would know or, you know, whatever, but she essentially says that Jake was scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Rafael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional.
Jake Paul's recent deeds, such as defeating 58-year-old Mike Tyson, have drawn criticism for a dangerous tendency in his boxing career. His decision to take on an old icon is seen by many as a show rather than a serious challenge, raising questions about his dedication to the game. Prominent individuals, including as Carl Frock, have disregarded Paul's performance, arguing that it lacked true skill and that his popularity was more due to his entertainment value than his physical ability.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois, but Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He took a L there, but Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening, it's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face to face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's gonna fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly gonna be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3, because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora. Do you know what I mean? You never know.
Though Eddie Hearn acknowledged the potential publicity a confrontation with Jake Paul may generate, he cautioned Paul to proceed. With caution, he accused Paul of being bold and possibly reckless for pursuing a fight with Joshua, a heavyweight champion. Hearn emphasized the serious risk of combining a battle-hardened veteran with a neophyte like Paul, even though the financial benefits for both fighters would be immense. He didn't hold back when he described the fight as a possible catastrophe that may completely ruin Paul's boxing career, either by causing him physical pain or humiliating him in public. Hearn made it apparent that the dangers of such a confrontation greatly outweigh the excitement it would create.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world, make the fight.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in, he just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight, but they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.
Boxers don't become angry when someone like Jake Paul calls out legends, according to Andre Ward's opinion on the matter. If it were to happen to me, I wouldn't take it seriously, Ward stated, adding, I don't have time to entertain the circus. According to Ward's remarks, he views Paul's bouts as more of an entertainment act than a legitimate boxing match. Similar views have been expressed by other professional boxers who claim that Paul's bouts are not authentic.
I understood where Canelo's coming from. Anybody for that matter. If, like you said, if you've been in a fire, how dare anybody come to me and act like I'm supposed to fight you and, you know, you're a YouTuber that turned to boxing and I'm a champion walking around here and y'all acting like I need him. Do you think they're justified in feeling annoyed when people come at them like that about Jake Paul?
I understand completely where Canelo's coming from. If I was an active fighter, I wouldn't entertain it either. You know, when you in the fire and you still in the game like that, you got real issues and beef going on. You got real opponents, like dudes that can really hurt you, that you need to figure out how to beat them and when we gonna fight and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time to entertain the circus. I don't have time for you to have my name even associated with a dude that ain't really a fighter like that. So I understand completely with it. He ain't got a lot of time to entertain that kind of stuff, but you know how it goes, Stephen A. People say they're not interested in something until that number get large enough and all of a sudden start making a lot of sense.
Where are you on this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake Paul, it just doesn't sit right. Yeah, and it's like I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight. Yeah. Anthony Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it personally, but it's good talking point, I guess.